Why should someone apply these methods? One practitioner once asked, "What is the benefit of taming the mind?" It is crucial for us to understand what taming the mind brings. It brings the gradual disappearance of our unfavorable qualities and the emergence of five favorable qualities. This is something we need for ourselves, not others, to change the mind, motivation, to develop faith, and to open the heart to all living beings. It is essential to understand service as a principle. Often, this principle is misunderstood and perceived merely as actions or work. Service means conducting not someone's own will, but the will of a force that surpasses you. If the will of this higher force is being followed, then you act correctly, and this can be called service. Another principle that helps tame the mind is humility and obedience. Humility and obedience are one of the best ways to quickly put the unruly, self-loving, ego-centered ego in its place. Great saints placed huge importance on this. For example, the Christian Saint Francis of Assisi was so humble that although he was the head of his order, he placed a young monk over him to serve him, tell him what to do, even though he himself was the monk's guru. He reported to this monk in every little detail. He gave this young monk the service of being his mandaleshwar, so that the ego of Francis of Assisi could be discarded. There is a story. Some disciples came to the teacher. For 3 months, he did not communicate with them, did not speak, and did not teach anything. After 3 months, he called them and said, "Now I will give you a test. The task is as follows. Here is a camel. You must approach the camel, take it by the bridle, and drag it over the fence. Go ahead." The fence was quite high. One disciple said, "Master, I was taught to rely on three supports. First, common sense. Second, intellect. And third, obedience. Based on common sense and intellect, I understand that this task is simply a test of obedience. But since it is impossible to do, it is meaningless to attempt it. Don't think this is disobedience. I understood that this is just a riddle, and I solved it." The second disciple approached the camel, pulled on the bridle, and started dragging the camel toward the wall. He himself climbed over the wall, but he could not get the camel over it. The teacher looked at this and said, "Good, that's enough. Let the animal go." To the first disciple, he said, "You overestimated common sense and intuition and underestimated obedience." To the second disciple, he said, "You passed the test because it was a test of obedience." When we have humility and obedience, our ego is tamed. From external humility and obedience, we move toward internal humility and obedience. This is a state where the mind and ego will not move a step without the blessing of the higher self. The mind does not follow desires or feelings. It constantly listens to the higher self and its commands. It strives not to act on its own, understanding that it has a higher Lord, and it should only listen to and be devoted to this Lord. Such a yogi becomes very attentive. This is humility and obedience. But as long as we haven't learned this through internal contemplation, humility and obedience are also expressed in external relationships, such as spiritual principles. The next method of taming the mind involves searching for the cause of problems within yourself. When a situation arises, you should analyze it. When you analyze it, you may see that, perhaps in past lives, you created certain causes that led to the manifestation of this situation. If something displeases you, it is clearly the return of your karma. The reason for this karmic return is you. When you reflect in this way, the mind gradually becomes subdued and curbs its judgments and misperceptions. Another method is to practice analytical meditation, meditation on causes, past lives, and future lives. For example, when you act egocentrically and selfishly, you should ask yourself, what will this bring me in future lives? In this life, I may gain some small benefit, but from a global perspective, will this benefit me or not? How will this affect my future lives? By performing a small analytical meditation, you can see the harmfulness of such selfish, egocentric behavior or untamed qualities of the mind. These methods differ from sankalpas, atmavichara, or mahashanti. They are coarser and therefore more effective when applied at the initial stage. If you use these methods, your state of mind and your motivation will surely and realistically change in life. You will see the benefit you bring to yourself and how you progress on your path. Om.